Welcome, everyone. My name is Eduardo Avila, and I would like to thank you for attending my presentation. Before I begin, I would like to thank Dr. Granada for his help with the research process. Your mentorship has been invaluable, and I could not have completed this project without your help or the help of the McNair office and staff. My presentation today addresses student absenteeism from schools as it relates to transportation options for students. For this study, a literature analysis of 26 different articles was conducted with three key investigations. First, we wanted to quantify what student absenteeism was, and we wanted to understand the effects transportation may have on student attendance. We then decided to examine how these effects may differ based on rural or urban settings. We then decided, lastly, we investigated an emerging concept of fare-free bus programs for students. Before we dive in, I wanted to give a bit of background on what we will be talking about today. Absenteeism is defined as the repeated chronic absence from school, resulting in missing at least 10% of the school year. It is a unique problem that many schools face and can be due to a variety of different factors. However, one often overlooked factor is the ability of students to get to and from school. In this modern age, vehicles are a necessity to be an active participant in society. Public transportation and transportation provided by school districts is an important method of travel for students who may have limited options to commute to school. Additionally, urban school settings rely more on public transportation for students than their rural counterparts who rely on school busing. This distinction creates a unique set of challenges regarding student absences for both communities. Lastly, fare-free public transportation is a general term used to describe programs where students are allowed to ride for free on public transportation to any of the stops on that route. Students usually ride for free by using their student identification or by using a transit pass that has been paid for by the school district. To best understand the benefits of having reliable transportation options, we should first look at the effects of absenteeism on students. Absenteeism has a negative impact on student academic outcomes, as students who are absent typically fall behind and test lower on state quantitative exams, such as English and mathematics. Research has also shown that attendance in general was more beneficial for student achievement on exams than simply increasing instructional time. This means that student attendance mattered for performance on exams more than an increased number of school days spent preparing for that exam. In addition to this, absentee students may also affect their classmates. Students who were chronically absent were more likely to exhibit negative or disorderly behavior, creating further disruptions to the learning environment. Besides their behavior, when students are absent, their peers may face resource limitations, as extra time is spent trying to catch the absentee student up to the rest of the class. So we see that a student's absence can have long-reaching effects on a school population's educational success. We want to analyze if the transportation options available to students may help combat the number of absences each year. To do this, we need to look from the perspective of different populations, as transportation options may vary across rural and urban settings. School districts in larger communities face different sets of challenges. Sometimes larger districts allow for open enrollment, as opposed to limiting student enrollment to their nearest school. These policies can be beneficial for students who want to attend different schools for specific programs, but they also come with the added challenge of commuting to their chosen school. One option that students have is to commute on public transportation. This kind of transportation, however, does not always keep the needs of students in mind. Routes that take students to school may be long and complicated, requiring them to transfer to a different bus route. Additionally, longer commute times have been found to increase the number of student absences. These longer commute times have also been found to disproportionately affect at-risk students further hindering their academic success. Now that we have examined the utilization of public transportation in urban settings, let's take a look at how rural communities provide transportation for students. In rural settings, school buses are a key option for students commuting to school. Research has shown that students who took the school bus had fewer rates of absenteeism. Although the school bus is an important mode of transportation, parents still share concerns about letting their children ride the school bus. Bullying on the bus is one key concern that parents share. Another concern parents share about busing are health complications due to diesel emissions released from the bus. These emissions have been linked to respiratory complications, which can prevent riders with respiratory issues from riding. However, despite having different sets of challenges, absenteeism rates in urban and rural settings were found to be similar. One option that school districts have used to help students attend school is fare-free public transportation. These programs help students who may not qualify for the school bus and do not have another reliable means of transportation. The subject of fare-free public busing is understudied. However, the research that has been done has shown that student attendance and after-school activities increased as a result of such initiatives. Studies connected have also shown that student attendance to school decreased as a result of fare-free public transportation programs. This could be due to the absence of limitations on stops students are able to access during school hours. Students may take advantage of the program to skip school by getting off on stops they should not be. Now that we have examined different modes of transportation, we will discuss possible solutions to some key issues with transportation options. Despite research showing that students using public transportation and school busing to attend school has reduced absenteeism for those commuters, work can still be done to improve both modes of transportation. Public transportation would benefit from having more accessible stops. Sometimes stops may be in unlit areas and areas that may not be entirely safe. After school program coordinators in the Fare Free Public Transportation study noted that this contributed to the lack of participation in the initiative for some students. School busing and public transportation would also benefit from having shorter commute times. School districts could reduce commute times by ensuring that bus routes are optimized with school start times. This would reduce the time that students spend waiting to be picked up and dropped off, while also allowing them the benefit of increased rest if school start times are delayed to coincide with the new school bus routes. Public transportation could design routes with student needs in mind to try and cut down on the longer commute times. School officials could cooperate with bus drivers to reduce bullying on school buses. Bus drivers in a survey have noted that bus attendants, developing personal relationships with students, and cameras have been most effective in reducing disruptive behavior. School districts could work to implement such measures and ensure that parents are less apprehensive of letting their children ride the school bus. Lastly, costs can also be minimized through the optimization of bus routes and school start times in larger districts. School districts where bus routes had been optimized with the start time of different schools in the district found that they saved between $10 to $15 million as they no longer needed as many buses in their fleet. Another option that requires infrastructure changes includes alternative transportation methods such as electric buses. Electric buses have been found to be cheaper over their lifespan compared to their diesel counterparts. Should they integrate vehicle to grid technology, they could also store electricity and earn money for the school district, further reducing costs. Finally, let us now discuss recommendations for further study. Fare-free busing remains largely understudied. Such programs have been studied in urban settings, but not suburban or rural. USD 480 in Liberal, Kansas has implemented such a program in the school year of 2022. This population could be of interest for researchers, as the geographical setting of the program is understudied and could yield different results than those found in urban and rural settings. This concludes my presentation, and I am now open for questions.
you take any consideration to like different states having costs put onto the parents of the transportation?
Sorry, that's a great question, but that was outside of the scope of the study.
On one of your slides, you mentioned that there are the free fare busing programs for the middle and high schoolers. Do we know if there are alternatives for, say, elementary students who maybe parents don't feel comfortable sending them onto public transportation? I know that's currently an available option here in Wichita.
I think I saw in one of the studies that I conducted that they did have options for students, but they did have an age cutoff. I think it was anyone under 8 couldn't ride using their student identification card.
Having done this research, what is your best recommendation for the city of Wichita?
So if they were to do a fare-free public transportation program, I think they would really benefit from having absenteeism awareness programs to coincide with such programs. Um, One of the studies that I looked at in Tallahassee, Florida, their program was launched without anything to try to minimize absenteeism. So I think having an awareness of absenteeism w- and trying to find different initiatives that could help reduce absenteeism alongside a fare free public busing program would be really beneficial.